Hey, what's going on, everyone? You're watching The Collector's Hut. My name is Chris. This is a very special episode because I never review books, nor do I really talk about them, but Dark Disciple, it's so awesome. Quinlan Vos, anything to do with the Clone Wars gets me really excited. I got an advance copy a month ago, and I loved this book so much, and when I got it, it was this thick, and I was like, it's going to take me like a month. And it took me 3 days. I just came home from work and started blasting chapters out, and I just couldn't put the book down. It was that good. Really good book. I highly recommend it. And this would have been like such an amazing arc to watch. When I went to Celebration Anaheim, I went in on a panel called Untold Clone Wars with Dave Filoni, and he brought sketches and some unfinished clips of what this episode would have looked like. And it's cool because when I was reading it, I remembered some of the clips I saw. It really helped me paint a picture. And yeah, like, it's just unbelievable. It really is. Now, this review is going to, contain spoilers, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about this poster, I'm going to talk about the figures, and then I'll go into the book review. So if you want, just shut it off when I get into that part of the episode. But I'm not going to be taking these figures out of the package. I know I usually do, but I really want to keep these together. I'm going to frame this poster, put these figures around, and make it look really nice. And so let's just get right to the figure review. So we'll start off with Quinlan Vos, and this is from the Clone Wars line, and they did an amazing job. The detail is phenomenal with this. It really is. This figure was so hard to find. And he comes with that speed board, which is pretty cool. That Boba and Embo is a really sweet figure too. I have those. They're just like, towards the end, it was just so hard to find stuff. It's kind of hard to find stuff now. Now, this 2-pack is probably one of my favorites. It's on like a vintage carded, and I just love it. I really do. It was part of a collector's tin edition, and the other two that was in that tin was Captain Rex and Obi-Wan. But I just want to talk about Dooku and Ventress. And I love how he comes with an interchangeable hand with Force Lightning. They have holograms of each other. The detail is killer. Like I said, it's like a vintage card. I really like this a lot. And it's super unique. So awesome artwork, description on the back. I really miss the Clone Wars. I mean, I really looked forward to it every week. It was just amazing. It really was. That's why I was so happy. Like, any extra stuff that we get from the Clone Wars, I'm like at the store immediately. So this was like the first figure of Ventress, and I really do like this, but I like the Clone Wars style better. And it's almost like they try to do like a live action version of Ventress. And this line was really cool. Dirge was sweet. Like, the detail on these figures were pretty awesome. So in this poster I got at Celebration, and it was a promotional poster. It's really cool. Just gives a sweet novel cover. Christy Golden, and she put this book out, and it's just amazing. It's really incredible book. Like, I really can't stress that enough. July 7th, it's out right now if you're watching this. So if you don't have it, if you haven't heard about it, just go and get it, read it, and it's just incredible. It really is. They did such a great job. It's killer. That's all I have to say about it. So now's the time that, if you don't want me to spoil it for you, to shut it off. I'm going to just do bullet points. It'll take me all day to really review this book because there's so much awesome stuff in it. Action, love, it's just amazing. So, yeah, now's the time to be shutting it off. For the rest of you, I hope you enjoy this ride. Be gentle with me because it's the first time that I ever reviewed a book. I'm going to try my best not to butcher it. But long story short, I'm just going to try to spit it out in about 5 minutes. So basically, the Jedi Council, they want Dooku gone. So they want to basically form this plan to assassinate him, which already blew my mind because the Jedi don't do that. They do like a proper trial, and they just don't go around killing people. So they assign Quinlan Vos to this mission, and he's taken back by that they just want to assassinate him, and they want him to find Ventress and gain her trust, work together, because she probably knows his whereabouts and how to kill him, because she was basically trained by him and worked with him for so long. And she has such a strong hatred and tried many times to kill him herself. So it's basically a match made in heaven, you know. Now, Ventress looks a lot different. She grew her hair out. She has a yellow lightsaber, which is pretty sweet. She's a bounty hunter, you know, and she works alone. So it took a lot of convincing for these two to really like gain each other's trust. But he got some intel of who she was tracking down, and long story short, that's how they met. And you know, he just kept really stressing it. Hey, like, you know, we work good together. We should work together and all this. And then eventually she accepted that, and now they're like a team. So basically, it's these two flying around the galaxy, going on bounty hunter missions, which is really exciting. And she has this really cool shit called the Banshee, and it's really cool. And which is sweet, because on that panel that I attended at Celebration, I saw sketches of it. So it really helped a lot, you know. And I'm sure that's probably on YouTube. So maybe you guys should, if you haven't read the book yet, go watch the Untold Clone Wars panel on YouTube. And because this way you'll get that concept out and that unfinished like material that they had. It really helps bring it to life. But anyway, so these two are flying around doing missions together, and they're forming this trust. They're flirting a lot, and it's really, it's different to see Ventress like that, you know, because she's ruthless, just like this badass chick that just takes names. Almost letting her guard down, but you can see like she's fighting with herself, but there's a lot of flirtation going around. It's really cool. And basically, you know, they have this great relationship now, and Quinlan doesn't want to keep anything from her. So he basically tells her the truth about how they met up, you know, why the Jedi Council, you know, wanted him to meet up with Ventress, and, you know, the whole assassinate Dooku thing. And she was really, like, taken back by that, because she was like, wow, the Jedi want to assassinate Dooku, you know, so that was pretty cool. And she was like, you know, you're not ready, you're not strong enough, you know. And she wants to train him in the ways of the dark side. She says that, you know, if you accept your hatred, it's going to make you stronger, and that will make you, like, be able to kill Dooku. So she takes him to Dathomir. Yep, Dathomir. The last time she was there, unfortunately, her Night Sisters got killed. You know, so it was very emotional when they landed on the planet, and she was kind of reminiscing, and it was pretty wild, you know. She puts him through all these crazy, like, training exercises. It's really intense, you know, and he's starting to really accept, like, the dark side, you know, which is pretty wild. And she was like, you know, how can I really pull the hatred out of him? And she basically told him that Dooku killed his master. So now he's like really furious and really wants to kill Dooku. So that's pretty juicy, you know. Now at this point, their relationship, they really fell for each other. So they're like very intimate on Dathomir, which is really pretty awesome. And so they got intel that Dooku's going to be accepting this award at this banquet. So they go there, they're like, you know, if we can get him alone, you know, and together we could kill him. So it's a pretty good plan. It really sounded great. And, you know, since it's a banquet with all these, like, you know, fancy people, they needed to dress up themselves. So Ventress got, like, this sexy black dress, and she's all done up. And it's really funny because, like, Quinlan, the way that this is written, they did, like, such a great job, because it's like Quinlan's looking at her, and he's, like, in shock because she looks so good, and he's just kind of like drooling, you know. And it's pretty cool because like I said, at this point they're like falling hard for each other. So it's really cool that they get into detail like that, like what she's wearing, how he feels about that. It's really cool. So they get him alone on a balcony, and there's this crazy fight between all three of them. Ventress gets like knocked out, her lightsaber goes flying off a cliff, she loses that. Quinlan gets taken hostage, like, you know, he's a prisoner at this point to Dooku, and he gets tortured for like a while, like gets put through all this stuff. And of course Ventress is like really upset about it, and she's trying to figure out how she's going to get him back, how to rescue him. So, you know, she meets up with Boba Fett and Bosk at like a cantina, which is really cool. and she's basically saying like, I'll pay you guys whatever, I just need your help. And obviously Bob is pissed at Ventress because of that episode when, you know, she puts him in a box, you know. So that was pretty interesting. But long story short, they accept the money because she literally will just pay them anything to get Quinlan back. But during like the whole time he's being a prisoner to Dooku and getting tortured, his Force ability, he can like touch an object and see what that last person saw when they touched it. And you know how Dooku and Grievous, they take the Jedi that they killed, their lightsabers, as trophies. So he's like, Quinlan, you know, you need to know the truth about Ventress. You know, like, I didn't kill your master, she did. And when I read that, I was like, oh my God, is that true? You know, because of like this relationship they formed, you know, and like how they were so honest with each other. And it's going back and forth. He has his old master's lightsaber. He's like, you know, touch the lightsaber, you know, so you can see like the truth and everything. And I'm pretty sure that like a droid, a lot of the battles are like videoed, and so they had like surveillance footage, and you know, he basically, long story short, he saw the truth of Ventress killing his master. So that was like pretty heavy. So at this point, he was like so pissed off, you know. So by the time that Ventress and the bounty hunters get to this planet for this rescue mission, you know, they set a distraction. She goes in to like rescue him, and he's like twisted by the dark side, yellowed eyes and everything. And you're like, oh crap, you know, like he went to the dark side. And now they're fighting, you know. Why didn't you tell me about my master and this and that? And long story short, you know, he's with Dooku, you know, at this point. And she couldn't believe her eyes, and she left with like Boba and Bosk. So that was pretty wild. So she went back and met up with Kenobi, and you know, she's like heartbroken, told Kenobi the whole like story. Kenobi brought her in front of the High Jedi Council, which is crazy, just to know that Ventress was standing in the middle, surrounded by all the High Jedi. And basically they're saying, you know, if you help us, you'll be redeemed. You'll be good in our eyes, and you'll basically have like a new leaf. You turn over a new leaf with us, you'll be cleared. And it's pretty wild because like all the stuff that Ventress has done in the past, it's like this is her chance to have a clean slate, you know. And plus she really wants to save Quinlan, like rescue him from like the dark side. So long story short, you know, they get him back, and Ventress redeems herself, and in the Jedi's eye, she's a good person. And it was moving, you know. It was really cool because even though she did so much wrong, she, like, this character grew like a nice place, like, in our hearts, you know, at least mine. And she's so cool, you know, and now she's like cool with the Jedi. And so basically they have this, Quinlan and Ventress really just wanted to say, screw this, take off and live a life together. Like, he'll leave the Jedi Order, like they'll just disappear and live happily ever after. That was like their plan. But Quinlan really still wants to kill Dooku. So they go on this mission together. A lot of bad stuff goes down, you know, a lot of bad stuff. Some Jedi die, you know, a lot of crazy things happen, you know. And he's basically trying to get closer to Sidious. You know, his whole thought process was, if Dooku believed that he wanted to work with him, that he's going to be brought to Darth Sidious. And Quinlan's big picture was to kill Dooku and Sidious, you know, and end it. You know, so that was like his whole thought process, but he really kept it to himself for such a long time. And Ventress was like, what are you doing? You know, like, let's just kill this guy and get out of here. You know, but long story short, there was like this huge battle. You know, it was Dooku, Quinlan, and Ventress, you know, basically keep running away from like the Republic. And they were in this building, and they like blew it up, so they got like really like beat up, these three. And they got like really hurt, you know, bleeding, like all that stuff. And basically Quinlan and Ventress are like, you know, she's in rough shape, so he's like helping her out. And Dooku is right behind Quinlan, and Ventress is seeing all of this, and he's going to do his final strike to kill Quinlan. And Ventress pushes Quinlan out of the way, sacrifices herself, and takes on like this crazy Force lightning that ends up killing her, which broke my heart because she's so awesome, you know, and she sacrificed her life to save Quinlan, you know, and like they have like this last moment together, and it was so like emotional, you know. He's holding her, and like her last couple of words was like her telling him how much she loves him, and he's crying, she's crying, and it's like wicked emotional, and then she dies, you know, and it sucked. You know, it really sucked. I had a feeling one of these characters were going to die, but I didn't know like how heavy it was going to be. You know, obviously Dooku gets away. You know, Sidious sends a ship for him. He gets away, and you know, Obi-Wan sees like, you know, Quinlan and Ventress, like he's all broken up about it, and you know, they tell the story to the High Jedi Council how she sacrificed her life for Quinlan. And it brings the Jedi Council back to like perspective of like, oh my God, what were we doing? Like, why did we just like start this mission of an assassination? You know, we like kind of got lost in like the whole war, you know. And they really gave Ventress the respect that she deserved. You know, they like cleaned her up. They were going to do like a proper burial, you know, put her in a dress, cleaned her up, combed her hair, the whole nine. And Quinlan was like, I want to take her to Dathomir. I think she should be buried in Dathomir, which I think is a great idea. And towards the end of the book, he takes her there and releases her body into like this water. Trust me, you'll know what I'm talking about when you read the book. And what's really moving is when he releases her into this dark water, and he hears whispers. And it's like her voice and the Night Sisters and her being reunited with her Night Sisters, you know, and it's really moving. It's really cool because it's like her soul, her like spirit is at peace, you know, and at this point, it's pretty crazy, you know, and it's just amazing. You know, the High Jedi Council is still keeping a close eye on Quinlan Vos. You know, he's always really with like Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi, because they're like still like, I hope this dude doesn't go to the dark side again, you know, but he seems like he's in a good place. And the book is just incredible. It really is. There's so much to it. I really hope I just didn't butcher it for you guys. So be very gentle with me on the comments. You know, I did my best. But I'm telling you right now, like, I pretty much just summed up the book in like this 5-10 minute video. But I highly recommend still picking this book up by Christie Golden. It's an amazing novel. It's packed with all this stuff. It's just incredible. It really is. You know, a lot of people get mentioned in this book. A lot of people are in this book. They do mention Opal Rancis, which is pretty cool. Huge fan of him. Very slightly. Like, while walking through the Jedi Temple, Opal Rancis was in the background. But it's cool because they still mention him. But it's like, they mention a lot of people. You know, I wasn't expecting Boba Fett to be in it. I wasn't expecting a lot of things that happen in this book to happen. And this love that they had for each other was unbelievable. And I really did want them to have the happily ever after that Ventress and Quinlan wanted for each other. I really did. I wanted him to leave the Jedi Order, and I really wanted them to just fly away in the Banshee and just live happily ever after. I really did. But I knew something crazy was going to happen, you know, and unfortunately Ventress gets killed, you know, and Jesus, like, she will be missed. She really will. Especially her being cool with the Jedi, you know, like, if she lived, like, what would have that become, you know, like, would she still have like a huge like relationship with the Jedi? Like, would she be working with them? Like, your mind just races, you know. It could have went in all different directions. But guys, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for, you know, sticking this out with me. It's my first book review, probably my last. But if they keep releasing content for the Clone Wars, I'll probably be reviewing it. And so thanks so much, guys. You can follow me on Twitter at Collector's Hut. I'm on Instagram. May the Force be with you. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.